The March of Time. Today, more than at any other time in their nation's history, the people of the United States stand in need of knowledge and of understanding. For with half the world already under the yoke of communism, those nations still remaining free look hopefully to the U.S. for leadership in the struggle to keep themselves free. That America has become the great bulwark of liberty in today's world is due in no small measure to its system of public education. Education has been a vital factor in the development of the vast continent of America. It has made possible a fabulously productive industrial and agricultural nation, not only capable of sustaining itself, but able and willing to underwrite the welfare of many other lands as well. And the assurance that the United States will remain strong depends upon its younger generation, the 26 million children now in school, who must be well prepared for the difficult years ahead. On the other side of the world lies Russia, fountainhead of communist doctrine. In the calculations of Joseph Stalin, high priority has been given to the reconstruction of schools destroyed during World War II and to the expansion of the Soviet school system. For the strategists of the Kremlin well know the importance of education to the building of a power. Steeped in the theories of Marx and Lenin, millions of Soviet workers are today toiling to make their country strong. Strong enough for their leaders to impose upon the free nations of the world their own way of life. And in anticipation of that day, Russia's youth are now being made ready. But the United States is fully alert to the ever-present threat of world communism. And in no part of the U.S. is there a clearer understanding of the intimate relation between the country's security and its system of public education than in the richly productive Middle West, heartland of America. Yet even here, thousands of children in rural areas are still getting a shoddy education in outmoded, poorly equipped schools. Such schools were common in Woodford County, Illinois, as recently as 1948. At Oleo School, with only one teacher for 8 grades, Marlia Gingrich had to spend most of her time studying while waiting for a brief period of instruction. At Kruger, Stevie Riley was alone in the 1st grade, lacking the competition and companionship that children should get through work and play with others their own age. For years, little had been done to improve Woodford's one-room schools, for many communities in the county were either unable or unwilling to support them. Will Ann Sides and her sister Della Mae pored over old textbooks. And many of the teachers themselves were poorly trained and inadequately supervised. But in Illinois, a movement for better rural schools had begun in 1943, when the Illinois Agricultural Association, a branch of the American Farm Bureau Federation, set up a committee to survey their state schools. Canvassing local superintendents, teachers, and school board officials throughout the state, the committee unearthed some basic facts.
During the past 25 years, good roads and the automobile have brought America's farm families into close contact with their town and city neighbors.
That's right. The day of the isolated country school is over. The time has come for a change.
We have to reorganize our schools and close down those so poorly attended that they cannot be operated efficiently, and transport our children to larger attendance centers. In that way, we will be able to give them a better education for the same money.
The report of the school committee was placed before the state legislature at Springfield. The findings stressed the need for new community unit school districts to be determined by practical considerations.
School districts should include areas which logically and naturally belong together, regardless of county or township lines. Roads, for example, should not be considered as boundaries, but as arteries. The homes on both sides of a road ought to be in the same district. This will permit the establishment of more economical transportation routes, and it would also preserve the common community interest.
Accepting the recommendations, the state legislature in 1947 authorized the establishment of community unit school districts. In Eureka, Woodford County's seat, as throughout the state, a citizens committee met to make plans for a community unit district. District 140 would include a sizable part of Woodford and a corner of neighboring Tazewell County. In addition to the Eureka High School, District 140 would take in 13 one-room schools and the larger grade schools in Congerville, Goodfield, and Eureka. The Davenport Elementary School in Eureka, with 325 pupils, was already overcrowded. But a local bond issue had been authorized the previous year for the construction of a new wing to cost $250,000. Since there would be plenty of space to accommodate their pupils in the larger schools, most of the district's one-room schools could well be shut down. But Congerville had already benefited to some extent by a much earlier consolidation of the schools in their local area. And many of the townspeople felt there was little more to be gained by the new district merger.
We won't have any control over our school. Those folks in Eureka will be telling us what to do.
Oh, they just want us to help pay for that new addition in that building.
Like as not, they'll try to take our school away from us. Then my child will have to spend a lot more time on the bus each day. I won't have it.
Well, I don't go for all this centralization.
The law governing the proposed consolidation required that it be approved not only by the district as a whole, but also by a clear majority of the rural voters. And Congerville was a rural community. When the votes were counted, the measure was overwhelmingly defeated. The proponents of consolidation realized for the first time that they had not fully presented their case to their neighbors in Congerville. But they lost no time in correcting the situation. T.E. Wiggins and Ralph Imhoff, Eureka school board members, called on the head of the Congerville Community Club, Kenneth Cross. They persuaded him to arrange a meeting of Congerville citizens so they could urge anew and clarify the benefits of consolidation. The citizens of Congerville, though still skeptical, nevertheless turned out en masse to give the proposal a fair and impartial hearing.
You can rest assured that you won't lose the advantages of your present school, but will, in fact, improve upon them and add to them. Furthermore, your community undoubtedly will be represented on the Board of Education so that you will have your own spokesman to take up your problems.
And remember that under the law, Congerville cannot have an independent unit district because it does not have enough taxable property or population. So it will have to join some neighboring district. If you don't join us, your children can no longer go to Eureka High School. And if they have to go to Danvers, that would raise even more difficult problems.
In the second vote, the consolidation proposal carried both urban and rural areas by a substantial margin. First move by the newly elected Board of Education was the appointment of veteran school administrator Tillman R. Smith as superintendent of District 140. They then consulted with the outgoing school directors to get their ideas on the administration of the new district.
We appreciate your suggestions, Mr. Baird. Of course, you realize it'd be impossible to follow every suggestion we've received. But you may be sure we'll do what's best for all the boys and girls of Unit District 140. Thanks for coming in.
During the first year of consolidation, 6 of the one-room schools in the district were closed. By the beginning of its second year, in the fall of 1950, all but one had been shuttered. And the new wing was now completed at the Davenport School in Eureka, providing 7 more classrooms and a gymnasium. A Citizens Educational Council had been formed to advise the board on such matters as school finances and the selection of textbooks. High priority was given to the planning of efficient bus routes from the old one-room areas to the larger schools. Great care was taken to make sure the youngsters would have a minimum distance to walk from home to bus stop, and as short a ride as possible, especially for the smaller children. District 140 was well on its way toward effective consolidation of its schools. All of the 913 boys and girls in the district were receiving the benefits of education under the unit system. As rapidly as possible, all schools were equipped with modern furnishings and teaching materials, like those in the new Davenport edition. But even more important, District 140 had a staff of adequately paid teachers, well qualified for their jobs. When Stevie Riley moved into the second grade at Davenport, he found the companionship of other children his own age. A brighter, happier boy, he had all but forgotten the days when he sat alone and neglected in the first grade at Kruger. With new books and pleasant surroundings, Will Ann Sides and her sister Della May could do far better work than they did a year before in the inadequately equipped, poorly lighted one-room Harvey School. And now in the 4th grade at Goodfield, Marlia Gingrich found her work closely supervised by a teacher who could devote her entire time to a single class. In contrast to the dreary days at Holyoke, Marlia had gained a new interest in her schoolwork. But the benefits of consolidation have not been confined to the larger schools. Panther Creek, which had been kept open because of transportation difficulties, was reorganized to serve just 5 grades. And these were supplied with the same textbooks and received the same caliber of instruction available throughout the district. In addition, the children at Panther Creek were given the advantages of many special services made possible by consolidation. A newly hired registered nurse makes frequent rounds of all the schools in the district to check up on the health of the pupils. Most of the children in District 140 take advantage of the hot lunch offered every noon. A federal subsidy helps keep the cost down to 25 cents. In keeping with the policy of providing the most up-to-date methods of instruction, a program of visual education was set up. Both slide films and movies are proving an effective means of teaching such subjects as social science and geography. Any boy or girl with an interest in music is encouraged to learn to play an instrument as a member of the school band. Public education in the United States has come a long way since the first elementary school was opened back in the 17th century. And today, many communities in which old, inadequate schools still exist are making heroic efforts to improve the education of their youth. In Harney County, Oregon, where one high school district spreads over 6,600 square miles, most of the sons and daughters of the area's ranchers must live at the central school, for the distances are too great for them to travel back and forth every day. Even though it costs the parents $350 a year for room and board, they feel that the improved educational opportunities are well worth the expense. Today, the nation's schools are becoming more and more closely integrated with the communities they serve. The varied facilities of the modern school can enrich the lives of young and old alike. But despite the progress made so far, the American people cannot afford to relax their efforts to improve their public schools, to lift even higher the standard of education for all the nation's youth. For the system of public education, which for over a century has played its vital part in keeping the nation free, must be continually reinforced to make the nation strong enough to meet whatever threat may come, now or in the future, to imperil our democratic way of life. Time marches on.